The doctrine of estoppel is an important principle of the law of evidence. It prevents a person from denying or contradicting something which he has previously stated, represented, or admitted, when another person has acted upon that statement. The object of the doctrine is to prevent fraud, dishonesty, and injustice. In simple words, a person cannot say one thing today and the opposite tomorrow if another person has relied on the first statement. Meaning of estoppel. Definition. Estoppel means a legal rule that prevents a person from denying a fact which he has already represented to another person, if the other person acted upon that representation. Simple definition. Estoppel means you cannot go back on your own words or conduct if someone has relied upon them. Principle of estoppel. The principle is based on fairness, honesty, and justice. If a person makes a statement or representation, causes another person to believe it is true, the other person acts upon that belief, then the first person cannot later deny that statement. Essential conditions of estoppel. For estoppel to apply, the following conditions must exist. 1. Representation. There must be a representation by words, writing, or conduct. 2. Representation must relate to an existing fact. The statement should concern an existing fact, not merely a future intention. 3. Reliance. The other person must believe the representation. 4. Change of position. The other person must act upon that belief and change his position. 5. Loss or prejudice. If the first person is allowed to deny the statement, the other person would suffer loss or injustice. Example. A tells B, "This land belongs to me." Believing this, B purchases the land and pays the price. Later A says, "Actually, it was never my land." A cannot deny his earlier representation. He is estopped from doing so. Doctrine of estoppel. The doctrine means that a person who has induced another to act on a particular belief cannot afterwards deny that belief to the prejudice of the other person. The doctrine protects innocent persons who rely on the representations of others. Various types of estoppel. 1. Estoppel by representation. A person makes a statement of fact. Another person believes it and acts upon it. Later, the first person cannot deny that statement. Example. Ramesh tells Suresh that a shop belongs to him. Suresh purchases it. Later Ramesh cannot deny his statement. 2. Estoppel by conduct. Sometimes conduct itself amounts to representation. Example. A watches B constructing a house on A's land without objection, even though A knows the truth. Later A cannot suddenly claim that B had no permission if B relied on A's conduct. 3. Promissory estoppel. A person makes a promise intending another person to rely upon it. If the other person changes his position based on that promise, the promisor may be prevented from going back on it, even without a formal contract in appropriate cases. Example. A government announces a tax exemption to encourage industries. A company establishes a factory relying upon that promise. The government may be prevented from withdrawing the benefit unfairly if the legal requirements of promissory estoppel are satisfied. 4. Estoppel by deed. Where parties execute a deed, a formal legal document, they cannot later deny the facts stated in that deed. Example. A executes a sale deed declaring himself the owner. He cannot later deny that declaration against the purchaser. 5. Estoppel by record. A person cannot deny facts already conclusively determined by a competent court. This is closely related to the principle of finality of judgments. Difference between estoppel and res judicata. Basis estoppel res judicata. Meaning prevents a person from denying his previous statement or conduct. Prevents the same dispute from being tried again after a final court decision. Nature rule of evidence. Rule of procedure. Based on representation and reliance. Final judgment of a competent court. Purpose prevents inconsistency and fraud. Prevents repeated litigation. Applies between parties where one relied on the other's representation. Parties to the earlier suit, or those claiming through them. Source Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam, 2023. Code of Civil Procedure, 1908. Example: A cannot deny what he previously represented to be. A cannot file another suit on the same issue after it has already been finally decided. Case study. Facts. Raj told Mohan that he was the owner of a piece of land. Believing Raj's statement, Mohan paid the purchase price and bought the land. After receiving the money, Raj claimed that he was not the owner and refused to complete the sale. Decision. The court held that Raj could not deny his earlier statement because Mohan had relied upon it and changed his position. The doctrine of estoppel applied. Importance of estoppel. Prevents fraud. Promotes honesty. Protects innocent persons. Maintains consistency in legal transactions. Ensures fairness and justice. Conclusion. The doctrine of estoppel is based on the principle that a person cannot deny what he has previously represented if another person has acted upon that representation. It is an important rule of evidence that promotes fairness, prevents fraud, and protects those who rely on the statements or conduct of others. Estoppel differs from res judicata, which bars the relitigation of matters already finally decided by a competent court.